I think it's fair to say that most people would like to have a lot of energy during the day, if you work during the day, and they'd like their energy to taper off at night. And I think it's fair to say that most people don't enjoy being sick. Nobody wants to get sick. In other words, you want to have energy and you want your immune system to function well, to ward off infections of various kinds, bacterial infections, viral infections, etc. And it turns out that the two hormones that dominate those processes of having enough energy and having a healthy immune system are cortisol and epinephrine. Epinephrine is the same thing as adrenaline. In the body, we tend to call adrenaline, and in the brain, we tend to call adrenaline epinephrine. Your brain makes what we call releasing hormones, and in this case, there's corticotropin releasing hormone, CRH, is made by neurons in your brain. It causes the pituitary, this gland that sits about an inch in front of the roof of your mouth and the base of your brain, to release ACTH. ACTH then goes and causes your adrenals, which sit above your kidneys and your lower back, to release cortisol, a so-called stress hormone. But I would like you to think about cortisol not as a stress hormone, but as a hormone of energy. It produces a situation in the brain and body whereby you want to move, and whereby you don't want to rest, and whereby you don't want to eat, at least at first. Epinephrine or adrenaline 101 in less than 2 minutes. When you sense a stressor with your mind, or your body senses a stressor, from a wound or something of that sort, a signal is sent to neurons that are in the middle of your body. They're called the sympathetic chain ganglia. The name doesn't necessarily matter. They release norepinephrine very quickly. It's almost like a sprinkler system that just hoses your body with epinephrine. That will increase heart rate, will increase breathing rate. In some cases, it will constrict your blood vessels. It will also increase the size of vessels and arteries that are giving blood flow to your vital organs. This is why your extremities get cold when you're stressed, and your heart is beating faster. More of that energy is being devoted toward your core. You also release adrenaline from your adrenals, riding atop your kidneys. Those are a second system whereby your system gets flooded with adrenaline in pulses. So you can get 1 pulse, you can get 10 pulses. We'll talk about how to regulate the number of pulses. And you release it from an area of your brain called locus ceruleus, and that creates alertness in your brain. Okay, so we have cortisol and we have epinephrine, and their net effect is to increase energy. So first of all, I want to give you a tool that will help you regulate cortisol and can also help stave off certain patterns of mental illness. Now, of course, it's not going to cure mental illness on its own, but it can support healthy state of mind and can help reduce unhealthy states of mind, including depression. So the first tool is to make sure that your highest levels of cortisol are first thing in the morning when you wake up. One way or another, every 24 hours, you will get an increase in cortisol. That is non-negotiable. That is written into your genome. That increase in cortisol is there to wake you up and to make you alert. It's to stimulate movement from being asleep, presumably horizontal, to getting up and starting to move about your day. And I've said it before, but I will say it again. The best way to stimulate that increasing cortisol at the appropriate time is that very soon after waking, within 30 minutes or so after waking, get outside, view some sunlight. Even if it's overcast, get outside, view some sunlight, no sunglasses. Never look at any light so bright that it could damage your eyes, but do that for 2 to 10 minutes. If it's very bright, 2 minutes. If it's not so bright, 10 minutes. Do that because in the early part of the day, you have the opportunity to time that cortisol release to the early part of the day, which will improve, this has been backed by peer-reviewed studies, it will improve your focus, it will improve your energy levels, and it will improve your learning throughout the day. It will also prevent a late shift in cortisol increase. And late shifted cortisol, meaning cortisol that increases around 8 or 9 p.m., is a signature feature of many depressive disorders, including major depression, anxiety, and that, of course, correlates with things like insomnia, etc. So here's how it works. Going outside and getting some sunlight requires that I also tell you how long and under what conditions. I've said looking through a window is not as good. It takes 50 times longer to get as much light, etc., etc. Many questions have told me that I'm not being specific enough. So I'm going to give you the data And from the data, you will understand exactly how long you need to do this each day. On a sunny day, so no cloud cover, provided that the sun is not yet overhead, it's somewhere low in the sky, could have just crossed the horizon, or if you wake up a little bit later, it could be somewhat low in the sky. Basically, the intensity of light, the brightness, is somewhere around 100,000 lux. Lux is just a measurement of brightness. To get the cortisol released at the appropriate time, you need to get outside. So let's just set a couple general parameters. If it's bright outside and no cloud cover, the light can be indirect. You don't have to be staring into the sun. Please don't damage your eyes. We can't regenerate those neurons yet and restore vision that's lost. But if you have to blink, that means it's too bright. It's fine to blink, of course. Please do if you need to. Get outside for 10 minutes, or 5 minutes should suffice, but 10 minutes is sure to suffice. If it's a cloudy day, dense overcast, you're probably going to need about 30 minutes. If it's light cloud, broken cloud cover, it's probably going to be somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes. And if you can't get outside, or you're on an airplane and it's bright overhead artificial lights or ordinary room lights, it's going to take you about 6 hours of light. And by time you reach the middle of your sort of wakeful period, it's too late. You won't be able to shift your clock, and your cortisol will start drifting later and later. This is why it's vital to get this light on a regular basis, to get that cortisol released early in the day. That sets you up for optimal levels of energy. It sets you up for great sleep. But today's not really about sleep. It's more about energy. That cortisol pulse and the stress that you might feel early in the day from having a little bit extra energy, that is the energy that you want in order to move about and learn and do various things. That is a healthy level of energy. So please try and get that sunlight if it's within your protocols to do that, and try and get sufficient sunlight first thing in the morning, again within the first hour. That's the best way to make sure that you time your cortisol appropriately. So here's a protocol that anyone can use if you want to increase levels of energy, if you suffer from low energy during the daytime, or whenever it is that you'd like to be alert. Pick a practice that you can do fairly consistently, maybe every day, but maybe every third day or every fourth day. Maybe it's an ice bath or a cold bath. Maybe it's a cold shower. Maybe it's the cyclic inhale, exhale breathing protocol I described. If that wasn't clear, and people always ask for a demo, I'm not going to do the whole thing right now, but I'm willing to do a few rounds of this, or a few cycles, I should say. So it's inhale. I would do that more deeply, more like you do that 25, 30 times repeatedly. You will start to feel warm. People in the yogic community, they say you're generating heat. You're not generating heat, you're releasing adrenaline. Inhale, exhale, 25 or 30 times. You will feel agitated and stressed. That's because you're releasing adrenaline in your body, and that's because you're releasing norepinephrine in your brain. And you'll be more alert. Then you can follow that 25 or 30 breath cycles with an exhale hold, and hold your breath for 15 to 30 seconds. Always do this on dry land, never while driving, operating heavy machinery, all the standard safety protocols, never near water. Please, people have passed out and died doing this with breath holds in water. There are several deaths associated with it. On land, it's probably safer. Clear it with your doctor, but 25, 30 breaths, exhale, hold, 25, 30 breaths again, exhale, hold, 25, 30 breaths again, exhale, hold. And then if you like, you can do an inhale and hold if that's within your margins of safety.